Alright, as promised, episode 4 of Tsula's Paint Bay is finally here. We're going to be doing the Republic of the Sphere, the Old Guard. And for starters, we're just going to run down the paints we're using. We've got Scale 75 Black Primer. We're going to use ProClick Payne's Gray. We're also going to use Dark Sea Ben by ProClick, or a good substitute as well is the Deep Sea Blue by Scale 75. We've got Carbonic Blue by Scale 75. Then we have your Sky Blue by Scale 75. And again, we have your ProAcryl Blue White and your Scale 75 White. Either one of these can work at the very end, so we'll cover that when we need to get there. So for starters, you're going to use your flat black and just prime up your miniature. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with a dry brush of the Payne's Gray on the miniature. We don't want to get a heavy coat on here. We want just a little bit of lightness to it so we can bring out the paneling and give some depth to that black. You know, you don't need much paint on your brush, and if you got dry brush paint brush, that's great too. If you don't, you can do a regular brush, but you got to be real careful with it. So I'm just going to show you here that you just want to take it and just add a few. You can see where it just hits a little bit, and it will dry darker. Not sure if you can see on the camera real well, because you know, darker gray on black does kind of end up being kind of a black, and some of the spots we won't be able to get with this bigger brush, but we'll hit them with another brush to get that. But like I said, you're not going to do a heavy coat on it. You're just going to do a light brush on them. I'm not going to do the whole miniature for this particular video. I'm just going to hit a certain area to give you the idea of what we're going to do for the lightning bolt patterns for the Old Guard. I might have got a little bit heavy with the gray here, but we'll see. If not, I'll let you know, and we'll come back up to darken a little bit with some other stuff, but we can fix that. But as you can see, it just adds a nice little highlights and color to that black, so it's not just a flat black, it's got a nice undertone to it. Turned out alright. You can see kind of the grayish blue on it with that dark sea, or the Payne's Gray. Again, it broke out Payne's Gray. You can kind of see it's on there. I'm going to use this side as my reference of how we're going to do the bolt. Our next step, oh, it just dawned on me, I didn't show you the example of what we're going for. This is what we're going for. The Old Guard, the lightning bolt scheme for Hour of the Wolf, Devlin's last unit to try to stop Maleeva. So we're going to go for that. So, like I said, as we go from the Payne's Gray, we can have two choices. We either go to the Dark Sea Ben, which is a signature ProAcryl, or you can go to the Scale 75 Deep Blue. I've actually found out that I can use both, so I will show you both of these, how to use these to make your lightning bolt's first pattern strike. So we're going to start off with the Dark Sea Ben. Put over here another palette. And it's kind of a greenish color, but don't worry, the blue will stand out eventually on that once you get to it. And you're going to want to start off with a bigger brush, because it's going to be a little bit wider. I'm going to start with a number 1. And I'm going to use my miniature series for this, which means the brush is a little bit shorter than the longer one, so I have a little bit more control. So I'm going to take a little bit of that blue, that deep sea, like I said, deep sea Ben. It is kind of greenish in color, but again, like I said, you know, it's kind of greenish blue. But once you get it down to where you want it, it will disappear. So we're just going to go right here. Let's just say, make sure I'm on camera for y'all, but you got to make sure you got where you want it, and just think like a lightning bolt. Just travel kind of down where you want and kind of outline in the sense where you want it to go. And if it's a little bit thick to start with, it's okay, because you can see it's such a dark color, it kind of blends in. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be an outline kind of where you want just the bolt to go. So we're going to go in such a pattern, and we'll go arcing down this way too. Like I said, you can't see it now probably. trust me, it's there. I'll try to get a better close up there. I have a little bit thicker paint on there. I might have to fix that because it's a little bit thicker than I wanted. But we'll go back and try to touch things up a little bit here. How the lightning bolt's gonna go. So we're gonna touch it up right about here. So where we're going. And like I said, the cool thing about this is if you're a little bit shaky, it just adds to the bolt. It doesn't matter. So we're gonna go from that, and that's where we're gonna stop with the seed bend. Now we're gonna grab our other one here, our deep blue. Get a little bit of chance for that to dry. And we're gonna go in here. And this is where the blue will take it up and huff that blue pop. Because like I said, it's a building series of layering a blue. I don't know if y'all can see that real well, but you can kind of see the green on there. But like I said, that green will go away and it'll help that blue pop off a little bit of that black a little bit. So we're gonna take our deep sea blue. And again, we're just gonna try to follow in the same footsteps of what we did with that green. But we're gonna do a little bit narrower path. So that that stuff kind of still shows the green. Now we're transitioning into the blue a little bit. And it doesn't take much. Again, it does take a little bit of practice. Don't beat yourself up on the first go around. It took me a while to get this down. And it's part of the reason why I took so long to the video of trying to show the steps to it and try to mentally give you the right rundown. This paint scheme in Gen Con for the WoofNet 350 actually did take player choice best painted paint scheme. This is exactly what I did for those units. So that's saying they look pretty good at 3 feet, I think, because that's basically what you judge a miniature by is 3 feet unless you're in a competition where they actually look at the miniature closer. But as you can see, as I'm putting the blue on now, it's starting to show up, and it's thin layers at a time. It's not glob it on, it's thin layers, because the thinner it is, the better, because it keeps that transparency of the layer below, and it gives that lightning bolt some depth, and that's what you want. To see the light, you need the darkness as well, and vice versa. And yes, if anyone knows Bob Ross, that is a Bob Ross phrase. To see light, you need darkness, and to see darkness, you need the light. Probably not in that direct way, but as you can see here, we're starting to see the outline of the bolt more and more clear now as I layer this blue into the outline I did with that green first. We're actually going to take a little bit of blue here, even though we don't have the green, because we're going to strike it down here towards the armpit of the neck too. Give a little bit more working and randomness in that pose. And if you don't have the green down, it's still perfectly fine too, because it's not as intense on this little arc down. So you can see now how we've got the little bolts coming down. We've got the one over here that we're working on up here, where it just slashed down and cuts across. It goes down that way. Like I said, you can see it's very thin layers just to build it up. And once you're happy with it, you're going to stop, because you don't want to overdo it. So hopefully that shows up on the camera. So we're going to stop at that. And the next step, we'll show you the next one. Our blues dry for the first set, and you can kind of see the outline of the bolt right now on that left side of the Marauder here. So the next step, we're going to go into our Canatobric blue. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but it is scale 75 blue. Number's 53, so SC53, and that'll help you out if you need to find the actual name. But you're going to go on here now, and I'm going to change the brush sizes down to the 1 and 0 now. On my palette, just so I can show you this. From that, like I said, we're going to use the 0 brush now, so we're going same miniature series. We're just going to a 0 now instead of a 1, so it's a little bit smaller in diameter. Sorry, I'm just thinning the paint down over here on the side. So I'm going to take a little bit. And like I said, there's not much on my brush. And you're just going to go inside now and try to stay not overlapping some of that blue that you've already done. You're going to try to keep it, some of that darker bluish green mix exposed. So you can go on here now and start, again, it's build up, it's small layers at a time. You don't want to overwhelm it because then you just lose the whole effect. And you can see now, I'm just barely pushing on here, and the darker blue is starting to show. It will start popping eventually. There it goes, now it's starting to show up as I've done a couple more layers to it. There you go. Putting very little on my brush and then kind of wiping a little excess away too, so it's not a lot. So I'm trying not to completely cover that blue, that darker blue that we've already done. Getting some of that to stand through to kind of, like I said, help the lighter blue stand up. There we go. Kind of starts popping now, and then you can go down here, follow your bend, down this way, and put some that way. And like I said, if it doesn't always show up real bright, it's okay, because it will give you that natural effect of a lightning strike. Just I did a lot of lightning pictures when I did this too, just to try to get an idea for it. You can see now how it's starting to really pop up in the lighter blue tones where I've done the work so far. And if it's messed up a little bit, it's okay. We don't have to worry about it. It's 3 foot rule is my goal here. If it looks good from 3 feet, you've done a good job. Because that's what the tables usually look like, 3 feet away. Trying to finish this up, and then we're going to go to our next step, which you guess is probably it, the white sky blue. And we're going to switch the brushes to that even more. So as you can see now, kind of got the whole bolt, but not all of it. You can still see some of that other stuff underneath it. But you can see how it's starting to take shape now in the bolt, even down here in this little spot where I was working. See that the blue's kind of laying in brighter and brighter as we level up the color, but you still have that darker color behind it. Alright, so now we're going to go into our sky blue. For this one, again, it's going to be even smaller into your brush set. I'm going to the 0, so now I'm going to go into the 0, 1. 0, 0, I should say. And then just a little bit on the edge of the brush. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it from here real well. Yeah, just a small little amount. I'm going to knock some of that off with my hand. Like I said, I use my palette as a hand. I'm going to go back to my miniature now. And go in here and just try to pick out some individual little lines here. Second brightest part of the lightning bolt, because the next part's going to be a little bit lighter. And as you can see here, now that's starting to show up. You can see that, and it doesn't have to be straight line. Lightning's not straight, it's crooked. I'm kind of shaky, so I guess it helps out if I'm shaking today. But we're going to go here and just follow that outline that we kind of did. That's a little bit bright spot there, but that's okay. See how it's forming now? It's a bright light. And we'll bring it down here to the split that we did. Like I said, if you feather it, it's okay. You just gotta remember, just trying to make it look like a lightning bolt. And it doesn't have to be the best. It can be sketchy because lightning's not connected. It has some gaps in it. Not all of it's always going to have the bright straight lines to it. can see here, we're moving up here now. I'm going to start this step. And as you can see, effect start really taking effect here. Really starting to pop out and show where the bolt started, where it's going on the miniature. And it doesn't matter, like I said, if it's not fully connected, or if it's just a little bit off, it can and will still work. Even though those spots that got a little bit brighter, you can still see some of the blue underneath, and that's what you want. You want to kind of take it off into little tangents here where it just does its own thing. Alright, so there's the bolt as it stands right now. The next step, we're going to be putting in the whites. And you can stop with just doing straight scale white, Silk 75 white now if you wanted to. You don't even have to use the Pro Curl white blue, but I figured right now with the Pro Curl white, it kind of gives a nice balance between the blue and the white before you go straight to white. So we're going to put this on and I'll show you that. So as I said, we're going to go to the white now. And again, this is the blue white from Pro Curl. You don't have to do this step like I said, but I found out it's a nice little medium in between the white and the blue. It's kind of the blue white. So it kind of offsets it a little bit. And again, very small amount on the brush. And you're just going to layer it down just so lightly because you don't want to cover that light blue you just did. And you can see I didn't get it. I'm still at the 00 brush. I'm just going to go in here and just kind of tap in between where we're going. It doesn't have to be completely solid either. It can be a little bit broken. So you can see we're going in here now and just kind of barely touching the brush, just letting it 2 hairs and some air, as Bob Ross would say. If we get little light spots in there, that's okay, because there are some bright spots in lightning. So we have the part here, and a little bit of bright spot there, but it's okay. Like I said, you want to go in here and just add a little bit of white to it, still keep that blue. You see, you still got the light in there. Alright, and now the final step is we're going to add the white. Just the pure white. For that, we're going to go ahead and change it out. Our brush again, from the 00 to the 000, which is even smaller. And we're just going to take a little bit on the tip again. And we're going to hit it just enough. And like I said, you don't even have to use the white either if you didn't want to. You could stop right where I just stopped with the blue, white, and Pro Curl. If you put the white in here, it does pop the bolts just a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not adding a lot of white to this. It's just letting the brush in contact wherever it is. You can see it brings up a little whiteness to it. And that's about all you really need to worry about. You can see right there, it kind of lights it up. And that is how you get that As you can see, I've gotten them. It's not the greatest, but it does look really good, and it does look like new bolts. This was the first one I did, and I think I've gotten better with it now since I've tried it. Let me get some other examples for you real fast. Here's the Phoenix Hawk 2C that I did in the same scheme. And as you can see, it's just the same effect. Scaffa. I did a little bit more white on this one. A little bit brighter. So yeah, it's possible. You can do it for your liner mix too. And battle armor. Battle armor is a little bit more difficult. I would start out, you just do a little bit of you skip the first 2 sets. So for the battle armor, you can go to the deep blue, the carbonic blue, and your sky blue, and then just do the white very carefully. But you can get it done as well on infantry. So that's it for Tsula's Paint Bay. I am sorry this took so long to do. Life has been crazy, like I've been saying in the podcast, but I hope you guys enjoy this. Once again, this is the Republic of the Sphere, the old guard paint scheme on how to do lightning bolts. Thanks for joining.